And today in Baja, window to the south, I'm very excited because I'm with an artist, and oh my God, okay, I mean, artist. He is really special, and his art, let me tell you, you will see. We're gonna talk to him. His name is Hugo Crosthwaite. He is here with us. He's gonna be in the Art Walk in Rosarito very soon. And of course, he has been in many, many exhibitions, and I can't wait so he can tell us everything about him. Hugo, welcome. Thank you so much for giving us this interview.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm always happy to talk.
Oh my God, you're great. Thanks. What your inspiration? Where it come from? You know, what would you see? What do you like to put in your art?
Well, my first motivation is just the act of drawing itself. No, it's always just about filling out sketchbooks. I have my sketchbook. I always carry my sketchbook with me and materials for me to draw. And my inspiration for almost 15 years now has basically been just going out there into the streets and drawing people. That's kind of like what I do. Through my sketchbook, through a ballpoint pen, and just draw faces, draw the environment that I come from, Tijuana, San Diego, Rosarito, and it's just drawing people, drawing faces, and creating narratives. One of the beautiful things about drawing is its immediacy. So then you're just improvising. You draw a face, and then you see something else, and you draw something else. You see a dog, and you draw the dog, and so then you start making up stories by itself. So then, in a way, it's kind of like writing poetry. You start with one word, and then you put another word, and you start stringing things together. So then you start making narratives. So then I feel like the sketchbook is the most important thing for any artist to carry and to have, where you're developing narratives. And then from here, then you can do larger work. You can do something bigger. You can express it in canvases, murals, or whatever. But this is like the most essential element of all of this.
Oh, okay. That is your, I know, like the heart of it, right?
Exactly, it's the heart, exactly. And it's where you compose narrative, And then filling out sketchbooks is you also develop technique.
Okay.
So then as many sketchbooks as you fill out, the better you get. So then you start seeing a progression from the first drawing to the last, and you see how you've improved or things that you need to work on. And then the other thing that I always feel is very important is to draw from life. Just go out there and draw people, draw faces, and the whole world's in front of you, So then you just draw it and capture it with your pencil and with simple materials. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can just be a sketchbook and a ballpoint pen.
No, most definitely. That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I love it because that's art. It's life. Yes. Most definitely. And can you tell us a little bit more of your exhibitions? Where have you been? Because I know it's like national and international as well, right?
Yes.
And there is a portrait that you did of Dr. Fauci, and can you please, share with us a little bit of that?
Yes. It was very wonderful. 2 years ago, close to 3 years ago, I entered this portrait competition, which is open to everybody, which I think is very wonderful because usually in the art world things are not that democratic. They're not open, but this was a major competition that was open to anybody. Anybody could submit, and it happens twice. It happens every 2 years. It's the Altwin Buchiver Portrait Competition at the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C., part of the Smithsonian Museums. And I entered my concept of a portrait, and it won first prize in 2019.
Congratulations.
And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful surprise. It was almost like 3,000 artists that had submitted, and I was able to win that award. And as part of that award, I was commissioned to do an official portrait for the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C., and I had the honor of doing the portrait of Dr. Fauci.
Okay.
So then in the last year, I've been working on this stop motion drawing animation portrait, which is I knew that when I talked to Dr. Fauci, in particular, him being like this face of science and this face of in a way, he became the embodiment of truth during this moment of pandemic, where conspiracies happen, and there's a lot of doubt in many institutions. Fauci kind of became this idea of science. So then talking to the doctor, I realized that he didn't want a traditional portrait. Like he didn't want a traditional painting or something that, and also, he's a very humble man. So then I knew that he didn't want a huge painting where he's like a major doctor fighting viruses or something with a sword or something, something, pompous and ridiculous. So then, but I knew that he wanted to tell this story as part of history, as part of American history. So then I decided to do this stop motion drawing animation, where it's these animations where my drawings kind of tell a narrative. The same way kind of things happen in my sketchbook, no?
Okay.
It's kind of like I start in my animations, I start with a drawing and things start developing on a page, you know? So then I started doing this animation that basically tells the story of the pandemic, you know? The two major pandemics that Dr. Fauci had to deal with in his 50 years of career, no? The first one being the HIV epidemic and pandemic, and then at the end, the COVID-19 pandemic. No? So then it was a wonderful way of showing two moments in history, the parallels that happened between both, and then Dr. Fauci's role as head of the NIH, the National Institute of Health, his moment in history. No? So then one of the things that I loved about this portrait was that it wasn't necessarily the portrait of a man, but it was a portrait of a man in history and the portrait of all of us, because how we all react to a virus, to a pandemic, in many issues, in many terms.
In many ways,
so then it was an opportunity to do this portrait, and it's now showing at the National Portrait Gallery in Washington at the Smithsonian. And if you happen to be there, please drop by and see the portrait.
More than welcome to go in and check it out. My God, that's great. Thank you, and I really wish you all the best. We're gonna be following you, okay? Oh, social media, you have social media, we can follow you.
Yes, well, my Instagram account, I put everything in my Instagram account, so you can see all my work there. It's at Instagram at Hugo Crosthwaite. So then you can see all my work and everything that I do there. Even the animations, so you can check that out.
Amazing. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Hugo. And thank you for joining us here in this wonderful interview in Baja Window to the South.